Good morning, welcome back. You bring a future, refusing to be born, wearing a crown of fake thorns, fear of many faces. You despise the gazes. We are free to believe your words are just a lie. You dance with the devil and ask why you are still in hell, not questioning anything. No, you can't even tell. You're not who you think you are. Nothing less than an unhealed scar. You make a sacrifice for your angels and your mice, feeding off our money and our lives. Wrapped in a flag, carrying a cross, you are not my king. You are not my God. Look at all that power, you should give it away to enslave everyone. It is too long, even just for a single day. Delay no more. Your dream is in a coma. From this bad calm over, this edge might fall over. Totalitarian takes over. You want to be patriotic, not idiotic. This shit psychotic, diabolic. We gotta wake up, too much makeup. Speak or the earth will shake up and bake up. Gonna erupt, too many scandal, flipping off the handle. Mostly for the rich, hardly for the poor. 1 minute we seem fine, next minute we on decline. On the green, on a dime, on a deadline, trying to juggle this opaque crisis, using tax dollars fighting ISIS. Goddamn healthcare prices. No matter how you slide this, they be rolling the dices. The crunchy is divided, it's gonna slide right down the rabbit hole of deceptions into the unnatural selection. It's not a fantasy, it's a reality. Don't live in fear. The time is here to wake up. Calm before the storm, before you get torn. Nothing but a crop of the corn. There's a madman in the White House. Is it for real or con out of the deal? From existence came our rights, but the system told us fight among each other, divide and conquer. Pit the young against the old and the left against the right. It's not that black and white. Just because the hook is baited doesn't mean you have to bite. Totality of power is an ever-present threat. When attained, it doesn't come without the risk of attempted transformation to our basic nature. Full paranoia, fear, and intimidation, with righteous indignation of attempted subjugation. 4 classes of individual play a vital role in building the totalitarian regime: the bourgeois, the mass, the mob, and the elite. The bourgeois has a double morality by the increasing schism separating public and private life, mistook the Nazi for their mere dictatorship, not realizing that the totalitarian movement can tolerate bourgeois individualism no more than any kind of individualism. The mass, alienated from each other as a division of labor made work, much more isolated and pitted individual against each other in competition. The chief characteristic of the mass man is not brutality and backwardness, but its isolation and lack of normal social relationships. It forms a self-centered bitterness, repeated again and again in individual isolation. This nihilism, coupled with the economic and political and social alienation detailed above, rendered them selfless, in the perverted sense that they no longer value their own well-being and had a feeling of being expendable. It wasn't that they found a truth worth sacrificing themselves for, but what they were sacrificing was so worthless. The mob's intentions are the most clear. What the mob wanted is what Nazi government propaganda expressed with great precision, was access to history even at the price of destruction, like the host in the social media now. The elite unfortunately enjoyed watching the irony of the bourgeois be unveiled. They were drowning in disgust for the bourgeois' double morality and hypocrisy. Under the rules of feudalism, which meant the society was primarily divided into 2 categories, peasants and nobility, racist imperialism and pan-nationalism emerged in the new but weak nation-state. With the advent of the nation state, there was some hope that modern society could be both strong and fair. But this hope diminished rapidly as the pursuit of power in this new world took over. In the wake of feudalism, the bourgeoisies were on the rise and replacing the ruling nobility as the most powerful economic group. As the nation-state crumbled, someone always took the blame for society's ill. As the governments continued to lose power to imperialism and pan-nationalist movements, the nation-state was disintegrating. A minority would suffer. More people joined the classless masses, ideal subjects for totalitarianism. The nation-state instability increased the number of people losing their places in society. Political parties represent the interests of the upper and middle classes, and there was a growing number of poor, disenfranchised people who felt unrepresented by any political party. They became known as the classless masses, and their numbers only increased after the widespread destruction of war. The masses, indoctrinated by totalitarian propaganda. When totalitarian takes hold in a society, it's a sign that the people have disengaged from analytical and political thoughts. Within a totalitarian society, the only thing that really matters is the leader's vision for the future. The factual evidence presented to disprove that vision or present a viable alternative is always twisted into an attempt by an enemy to mislead the public. Nazis consistently steered people away from analytical thought and repeatedly hammered them with the fake story of minority conspiracy and its threat to their way of life. Over and over again, the public was warned that steps must be taken to prevent the minority from succeeding, or else a horrible, oppressive future lay ahead. And since there was only room for one vision in Nancy's totalitarian society, this tall tale became the public's reality. At the helm of totalitarianism is an ideology that distorts history to fit the reality of the ideology. An untypical sign of totalitarianism is that the propaganda and the ideology make careful efforts to rewrite history in a way that justify a totalitarian regime's action. For this kind of revisionist story to make sense, a totalitarian party must suppress the individual's free thinking and turn the once isolated masses into instruments ready to obey the leader's will. When this happens, the only sensible version of the history will be the one that aligns with the party's ideology. Totalitarianism is truly all-encompassing. Anyone who becomes part of the masses in a totalitarian movement becomes less human and more like a cog in a machine. Human characteristics like free thought and autonomy are extinguished as people become one anonymous gear. One of the main ways in which totalitarianism succeeds in dehumanizing people is by deliberately taking away all spontaneity. For being spontaneous at the heart of what it means to be free. Whenever people are lonely, when humans are atomized, there's a risk that totalitarianism may succeed. At the core of this state, however, is a longing for something else to come along, fill this void and make people feel like they belong once more. This naturally makes the extremely vulnerable to rhetoric of a totalitarian movement, which is full of promises to make them part of some bigger plan. Fundamentally, the phenomenon of alienation is a state characterized by a certain lack of authenticity. When a being is divorced from parts of their true nature, it may manifest as worthlessness or nihilism, or as antagonistic to any individual actualizing their potential and living a meaningful life. Alienation eventually manifests as a diverse range of experience we generally conceive as a suffering. The ideal subject of totalitarian rule is not the convinced Nazi or the convinced communist, the people for whom the distinction between fact and fiction, and the distinction between true and false, no longer exists. Thank you. This is a glimpse into the book, The Origins of Totalitarianism. This book was written in 1951 by an accused self-hating Jewess for being an enemy of Israel, Professor Hannah Arendt, and labeled anti-feminist. She was the first female full professor in Princeton University. If you like it, please comment, like, and share. If you don't like it, please also comment and share. See you in the street.